Charlotte Collins, who works for a gossip tabloid, pretends to be a prestigious journalist to get an interview with the royal. When she mistakes Adam Pedersen for the Count of Sorhagen, a lot more lies are told to keep up with appearances. In Nordon, the new tour guide, Kirsten, helps tourists understand the history of Sorhagen Palace. She tries to highlight the importance of the Christmas ornaments that tell the story of the counts who have lived there. A curious tourist wants to confirm the rumors about Count Lars and wonders if he still resides at the palace. Kirsten tries to change the topic by insisting that the Count works behind the scenes. The Count's royal advisor, Sir Gustus, assures the tourists that the Count is absolutely fine, and they shouldn't believe in conspiracy theories. He asks to speak to Kirsten separately and reminds her that she needs to keep every discussion away from the Count. She's trying her best, but the batch is very curious that day. They haven't had any visitors in a long time, and she wonders if the Count can make one appearance so more people sign up. But Gustus just asks her to stick to the topic about their Christmas lights. During a meeting for the tabloid, Royal Gossip Entertainment in London, the editor Tony wants some fresh ideas. Charlotte has some about the Duchess of Doverley and the Queen wearing the same dress to an event. Her colleague also pitches in to highlight a rumor about the Prince of Bulgaria investing his trust fund in his girlfriend's nightclub. When all this doesn't satisfy Tony, Charlotte suggests another sensational story about the Earl of Grayson fathering an illegitimate child in his teens and spending Christmas with the family. Tony thinks that's exactly what they need, but when Charlotte starts explaining the interesting history behind it, he's bored and wants her to stick to the latest scandal. She reminds Tony that she has been working with them for 5 years and wants a raise, but he thinks the tabloid barely has money to pay him. Her colleague thinks she should threaten to leave if they don't give her a raise, but Charlotte knows she can't risk it because of her visa, since she'll have to find another job. She doesn't think a credible news organization like Monarch Insider will hire her. Her colleague offers to let her crash at her place, since she's struggling to make ends meet. Jensen notices Adam Pedersen at the Sorhagen Palace after a long time, who is in much better shape after traveling the world. He has been to 7 countries in 10 years, but can never stick to one place since he hasn't found a job that satisfies him. He's only there for Christmas, so he can save money for his next adventure. Adam notices him eyeing Kirsten, but Jensen thinks she is way out of his league. While he's finishing up, he finds an ornament and pockets it. Tony shows Charlotte a video about Gustus apologizing for Count Lars's absence at the royal toy donation. While Tony thinks they should admit the Count is a flake, he knows getting an interview with him would be a gold mine. Charlotte wonders if achieving this will help her get a raise, but Tony doesn't think she can achieve what no other organization has been able to do. Charlotte reminds him about all the challenging stories she has done, and doesn't think finding a missing Count will be that tough. She knows they throw a Yuletide ball every year at Christmas, which the Count is supposed to oversee, and feels confident that she can find something there. He has been missing for years, but she wants Tony to imagine what it would be like for their tabloid to become a trusted royal news site. He reluctantly agrees to let her go to Nordon, but wants her back immediately if nothing works out. Her dad is worried about her getting lonely on Christmas in Nordon, but Charlotte knows how big getting this interview could be for her career. She's good at her job and is glad it pays for her apartment. Her dad still offers to let her work at his insurance firm in Milwaukee, but she is determined to uncover this story. After the call, she picks up a book about monarchs from her mother. She reaches Sorhagen and enters a B&B her cab driver suggested. She meets Trina, who warmly welcomes her and asks her purpose of her visit. Embarrassed about what she does, she claims to be a serious journalist from Monarch Insider. Trina shares that she has a niece, Kirsten, who claims to have seen the Count while working at the palace. Adam helps his mother Raina with the Christmas decorations, who is glad he's home for Christmas. He plans to leave for Finland after the holidays, since he has a short-term contract there. She reminds him about the perks of staying back, which include Raina doing his laundry. She notices the ornament and recognizes it as the Count's medallion. Even Adam knows he needs to return it before anyone thinks he stole it. Kirsten is giving another tour of the palace, which Charlotte has signed up for, but when everyone is distracted, she sneaks into one of the rooms. Jensen spots Adam waiting for the staff manager and asks him to look for him in the drawing room. When Adam spots a piano, he sits down to play it. Charlotte has a photo of the Count in his teenage years playing the same piano, so when she spots Adam playing it, she assumes he must be the Count. She tries to approach him, but when the Count's medallion falls from his pocket, her suspicions are confirmed. She introduces herself as a journalist from Monarch Insider and asks for an interview, but she thinks he's dressed too casually for a Count. Gustus finds them and wonders how Charlotte was allowed inside. She instantly takes Adam's photo and threatens to publish it if Gustus doesn't let her have the interview. He asks her to leave and wonders why she thinks Adam is the Count. He returns the medallion he found in the front gardens and introduces himself as the seasonal landscaper. Gustus seems angry and asks him to get back to work. The Royal Council is concerned about a picture of a staff member getting leaked as the Count and know they need to do some damage control. They still can't reveal the truth because they know tourists will stop coming. The head of the council thinks if Charlotte already assumes he is the Count, they might have a solution. Raina thinks Adam could have been fired for his carelessness, but he's more impressed with the journalist being so confident about getting an interview with the Count. Gustus asks to speak to Adam privately and informs him about the meeting with the royal council. He knows the photo getting revealed could be scandalous and lets Adam in on a royal secret. He reveals that there is no actual Count of Sorhagen, since Count Lars abdicated the title 4 years ago when he fell in love with someone at Daytona Beach. On behalf of the Royal Council, he wants Adam to help them avoid a bigger scandal by stepping in as the Count for a brief interview with Charlotte. He knows this will prevent her from releasing the photo if she gets to speak with him for a while. He knows they only get business in Sorhagen because tourists think the Count is there, and they need them to keep believing it. Kirsten was wondering how she lost Charlotte during the tour, and is even more surprised that Gustus asked her to deliver a letter. Charlotte feels very excited, because she has finally managed to get an interview with the Count. Gustus starts grooming Adam for the interview, and instructs him about what he needs to do. Adam looks very different as he walks in for his interview with Charlotte, who has signed a contract and deleted the photo to get 15 minutes with the Count. She apologizes for using an unfair method to approach him, and wonders why he's so private. He insists he wants to stay out of the limelight, but she knows that's something they say in press releases, and wants to know the reason behind it. She's curious to know if he feels responsible for the people of the country, since Sorhagen's economy is suffering because of him not appearing in public. Gustus tries to interject and change the topic, which makes Charlotte wonder if he can leave them alone. Since that's not an option, she moves on to lighter questions, like what he does for fun. He gives a rehearsed answer, but when she asks about Christmas, she finally gets a positive reaction from him, since he seems to be excited about the Nis hunt and wreath lighting at the town square. He mentions his dad taking him sledding when he was young, which seems unusual for a royal. Still encouraged by his love for Christmas, she asks for an in-depth article on Christmas with the Count, leading up to the Yuletide ball, so people can get to know him better. Gustus is against this idea and reminds her that her time is over, but Adam recalls they need more tourists, and thinks an article like this would help. Since he passes it off as the Count's decision, Gustus doesn't have much say. The Royal Council isn't happy with arranging a full Christmas spread, but they know they need to go along with the story. Gustus is asked to oversee the information given to the journalist and ensure that she doesn't interact too much with Adam. If this goes well for them, they might finally have more tourists. Adam shares his situation with Jensen and loves that he'll get to stay at the palace and order any kind of food till this Christmas spread is over. He still needs to keep a low profile so Charlotte doesn't find out anything about his real life. When he mentions she's staying at the B&B, Jensen wonders if she knows Kirsten and can introduce them. He spots Charlotte there and tries to hide till he manages to sneak out, but he ends up breaking glasses and Charlotte recognizes him. He claims to be undercover so he can enjoy a normal life and introduces Jensen as his personal security guard. Charlotte wants to start working on their exclusive and challenges him for a game of S-Joel-back. He hesitates, but knows she will not back down till she gets her answers, and asks Jensen to leave. When they start playing the game, Charlotte understands why he has been dressing so badly. She doesn't care for appearances, but thought it was weird earlier that he was dressed so casually for a royal. He tries giving her some tips about the game, but she's already good at it, and feels comfortable about him being free with her. They meet again in official capacity, so he can show her the first Royal Sorhagen Christmas tradition, which is the Nis hunt. While she thinks they're gnomes, he explains that Nis is a mythological creature that symbolizes the Nordic winter solstice. They have a tradition of hiding Nis all over the grounds, so children can find them and win prizes. He shares that this was always his favorite Christmas tradition, and she wonders if he's still close with the rest of his family and distant cousins. He's more interested to know how she knows so many details, and she explains that her mother was a history professor who was very fascinated by royal bloodlines. When he asks about her work, she feels she's good at it, but not too passionate about what she does. When he mentions how lost he feels about the direction his life is taking, she thinks having the kind of money he's inherited might still make things a lot more comfortable. When they're done, she gets a text from her office asking about an update. Jensen comments on how wonderful it feels to see children enjoying Christmas and introduces himself to Kirsten. He admits he has noticed her giving tours and offers to help her with the treats for the children. Gustus notices how comfortable Adam is getting with his life at the palace. He brings them to the Yuletide Ball Planning Committee meeting, where the Royal Council discusses the items they're importing. Adam thinks they can source many items locally to help the community, but the council knows it's been a tradition to plan the ball a certain way for over 100 years. Charlotte also adds that since Yuletide Ball is based on Yule, which was implemented to lift the spirits of the local farmers during tough harvest days, this ball should be about the people. Adam agrees with her and thinks they should open up the ball to the public. The council suggests that he needs to discuss this with the King of Nordon, so he retracts his ideas and asks them to go with the original plan. Charlotte loved his ideas and doesn't think he should let some royal advisors shoot them down. He doesn't think he has the capacity to change traditions, but thanks her for her support as a historian. She's curious about their family Christmas tree, which Adam seems confused about, but offers to take her there. He somehow brings her to the right spot, where she gets excited about the ruby red heart Count Odin gave to Countess Freya for their wedding, who were the Count's ancestors. She's sure he knows the significance of some of these ornaments, but he claims to be more impressed by her knowledge. She remembers the bedtime stories her mother used to tell her about the real monarchs of Europe, and knows she would have loved this palace. Christmas was her favorite holiday, and she misses her a lot during this time, since she passed away. Adam knows her mother would have been proud of her for working at a prestigious news organization. She seems like she's about to come clean about working at the tabloid, when Adam claims that he understands her, because he lost his father too. He just knows that Christmas isn't the same without the parents they lost. Tony wants an update from her, and is excited about the big exclusive she managed to get. He still wants visuals for the story, since they can't release gossip without giving proof. She thinks what she's doing is a lot more important than gossip, and wants to honor her contract. When Gustus asks why Adam behaved a certain way in the meeting, he thinks Gustus wouldn't have dismissed his ideas so easily if he were the real Count. He has acquired a list of imported items for the ball, and knows that everything can be made in Sorhagen to help the local businesses. He cares about it, since he knows businesses there are suffering, and wants to help in some way. Gustus has always followed set traditions, and doesn't know anything else. Adam asks him to loosen up, and dresses as himself to take Charlotte to the wreath lighting. While Gustus thinks it's risky, Adam finds his plan foolproof, since Charlotte thinks his real identity is his disguise. The wreaths remind Charlotte of her mother during Christmas, and all the wonderful time they spent. She used to be afraid of going out during Christmas after her mom passed away, but this town makes her feel happy about how much her mother would have loved the history of the place. He offers to be there for her if she needs him, and notices a special sparkle in her eyes when she talks about history. She gets a brochure from the Historical Society, and is excited to learn that Nordon University has a history doctorate program. She has realized her calling is somewhere else, and doesn't want to report about royals all her life. She still thinks the people gathered there would have loved to know their Count was among them, but Adam doesn't think it's the right time to make a public appearance, as he's afraid of letting people down. They seem to share an intimate moment, but realize they need to get back to reality. Tony has already taken some pictures of him, and is very excited. Adam reports the news about his photo getting leaked to Gustus, who thinks Charlotte betrayed them. He knows the royal family will need to make a statement, and Adam feels the truth coming out now might be the best for everyone. Kirsten wonders why Charlotte never told her she was hanging out with the Count, and when she spots Tony, she knows who is behind the article. She feels betrayed about him taking the picture of the Count, and is worried about how this violates her agreement. But he's impressed with her claiming to be from Monarch Insider to sound more legitimate. Ignoring her paranoia, Tony thinks he has done her a favor, and thinks the Count might give her more intel now. She apologizes to Gustus and Adam, and claims she had no hand in the picture being leaked. Adam also points out that it was leaked by a tabloid, while Charlotte works for Monarch Insider. She begs for forgiveness, and wants another chance to finish her article. But their meeting is interrupted, because the King of Nordon wants to speak to the Count. The King thinks everything has gotten out of control, and is very concerned. He still feels telling people the truth now will be worse, and asks Adam to host a gala board at the palace with the press, to formally announce that he is the Count. He agrees to do it if his mother is allowed to cater the desserts. He informs Charlotte about the gala board, and asks her to attend it with him for support. He also promises her the exclusive story, since he trusts her completely. He takes out all his photos from Reina's cafe, and knows he has a huge responsibility that could affect the royal family and the town. She thinks it's ironic, since he was running away from Sorhagen for so long, but he feels he was just trying to find his passion. He still hopes to make a positive impact before he leaves the town again. Charlotte is ready to prepare for the Scandinavian feast during Christmas, and he knows she has just Googled gala board. Reina asks both of them to help her with the dessert, and while Charlotte is pretty bad at baking, she's impressed to see how good Adam is. Gustus prepares Adam for his interaction with the king, who is happy to acknowledge Adam as his nephew publicly. The king and queen claim to be relieved their nephew has finally chosen to go public, since a lot of nobles have purchased tickets to the Yuletide ball. Adam thinks they should consider opening the ball for the public, since he knows it would help tourism. The king decides to discuss this with him privately, and explains that when his brother fell ill, he found out that Lars had no interest in becoming the Count, since he was in love. Since the king only has a daughter, there are no current heirs who can take up the title of the Count. Since the palace has always had a Count for centuries, they need Adam to continue with the appearance till they find a better solution. Adam wants to help, but needs to leave soon, for his new job in Finland. The king still asks him to stay till the ball, so they get publicity, and he agrees to do it, if they open it for the public and hire local vendors. Kirsten wants to know all about Charlotte's dinner with the royals, but she feels the best part is the Count convincing them to open up the Yuletide ball to the public. Kirsten is still excited, because since the Count's photo was released, the reservations at their B&B have increased a lot. Adam brings Charlotte to see the northern lights and gives her his scarf when she feels cold. She informs him about the first reference of northern lights from cave paintings, 30,000 years ago. His father took him to see the northern lights every winter, so this feels very special and like Christmas to him. Charlotte feels grateful, since she's ended up having the best Christmas ever in Sorhagen. They get closer and are about to kiss when Jensen interrupts them, since Gustus wants Charlotte back in her B&B as they leave. Jensen asks her if she thinks Kirsten has a date for the ball this year. Charlotte informs Raina about getting invited by the Count for little Christmas Eve dinner. She wants the perfect dessert, so Raina suggests something he loves. She knows Charlotte cares about him, and when she asks what she admires about him, Charlotte admits she loves how kind and adventurous he is. Tony overhears this and is sure she has a thing for him. He still wants her to be professional about her writing and mail him a proper gossip piece. Charlotte is very happy to be with Adam at dinner and brings the dessert as a surprise for him. He insists the dessert is special, since some bowls have a hidden almond, and the person who gets it wins a prize. He thanks her for motivating him to find a sense of purpose, and doesn't think he would have achieved anything without her. When she gets an almond in her dessert, he tries to gift her the truth, and is about to confess something. Right then, Gustus barges in looking angry and asks her to leave, since she has betrayed them. He shows Adam the latest article, claiming that she works at a tabloid. She tries to explain that she only claimed to be from Monarch Insider so they would take her seriously, but the article makes Adam feel like she only got close to him for tabloid gossip. She questions Tony about changing the tone of her article to make it more scandalous, but he thinks he only improved it since it was too boring. Charlotte decides to quit, which Tony isn't prepared for, and tries to remind her about the raise and her visa. She knows she can find another solution, but refuses to work for a publication without any integrity. Adam feels hurt Charlotte lied to him, but Jensen reminds him that he lied to her too. He now just feels like the guy who fell for someone who just wanted to sell papers. But he has never felt this way with anyone else, and likes having Charlotte around all the time. Jensen still asks him to make sure the ball takes place, because he has left a note for Kirsten asking her to be his date. Charlotte discusses how bad she feels about the whole thing with the Count, and assures Raina that her intentions were good. When she offers to help out, Raina asks her to get some napkins from the back kitchen. While she's looking for them, she drops the photos Adam was hiding, which makes her realize he is Raina's son, and not the Count. She threatens to expose Jensen and Gustus for working with a fake Count, and claims to have proof. She confronts Adam, and is angry about giving up her career for a fraud. He reminds her that she lied to him too, but offends her by calling her a gossip tabloidist. She still feels like her lie doesn't deceive a whole country, and asks him to wait for her to expose him in her article. She's typing angrily about the fake Count when Kirsten comes to inform her about someone waiting to meet her. Adam thinks if she exposes the truth about there being no Count of Sorhagen, she will affect the livelihoods of all the locals who depend on the tourism. He confesses everything, and also reveals that he didn't plan on developing feelings for her. She reveals she had feelings for him too, in the past. At the end, he just wants her to know everything they shared was very real for him. She still can't accept something built on a lie, and gets offended again when he suggests she only liked him because she thought he was the Count. The Royal Council discusses whether they should cancel the ball, since Charlotte's article could come out anytime, but Adam thinks they should carry on with it for the community. Kirsten wonders why Charlotte didn't tell them she works for the tabloid, but she claims she was embarrassed. Kirsten is still happy that they got a lot of business because of her, and thinks it would be a shame for a history buff to not attend a centuries-old Christmas ball. Gustus acknowledges that he's happy Adam invited the public to the ball too, and accepts that his influence might have rubbed off on him. The arrival of King Sven and Queen Anna is announced, and Gustus reveals he hasn't told the royals yet about Charlotte's possible article. Adam thinks he doesn't need to worry about that, and takes the stage. He notices Charlotte entering in a beautiful gown and starts his speech. He reveals the entire truth to them, and feels like being honest is important, since he cares about the town. Tony wonders if Charlotte still wants to write the story about the fake Count, but she's not interested. Raina is proud of Adam for admitting the truth, and is happy he decided to stay back in Sorhagen. When he notices Charlotte alone, he approaches her and asks her for a dance. She admits she liked his speech, and reveals that she didn't write the article against him after all, since exposing him didn't feel right. She's excited about applying to the University of Nordon's history doctorate, so she can become a great history professor like her mother. Since Adam reveals he's staying back too, she's glad she'll get some time with the real him. The king and queen apologize for hiding the truth, and are inspired by Adam's speech about taking responsibility. They admit there's no Count of Sorhagen, but believe that it's important to have one. They want to bestow the honorary title onto Adam, who is willing to accept it, if he gets to live on his own terms. They accept his demands, and as Charlotte congratulates him, he finally kisses her passionately on the dance floor.